Hello, it's Lyndsay Allison back with another video, and this one is called The Fibs We Tell Ourselves That Make It So Hard to Get Rid of Our Clutter, and Why They're Fibs. I know that I have told myself all of these stories in service of comfort, stagnancy, and of fear. It is uncomfortable to get rid of things, especially if it isn't something that's common in our life, something that we do regularly. There's an uncertainty in allowing ourselves to get rid of a possession that we have and have had for a while. There will always be some uncertainty in the idea of letting go of something, but it's a good idea to look into maybe some of the reasons that we feel that uncertainty. So here are those fibs we tell ourselves to make it so hard to get rid of our clutter. Number 1, I need to get it to someone who can appreciate it as much as I did, or get a really good price for it. This one is pretty massive, and it can become a pure paralysis that can halt even the most practiced or ruthless of minimalists and anyone in between. And it can be stitched into and from that seething guilt that awakens with a fright when we think of getting rid of something that we spent our hard-earned money on. The more we spent, the more we enjoyed the item, or the more it meant to us, the harder it can be. And then when the effort to find that particular human ends up harder than we thought, or when the work that was spent on trying to get what we know it's worth was to no avail, we just think to ourselves, well, I can't trash it or give it to the thrift shop. It's not fair to the item or to me, or to its prospective new owner, who will be fulfilled by this glorious thing. But the thing is, the item's sheen is no longer glowing the way that we saw it in the past. What it was worth then to you when you bought it is no longer the item's worth right now, no matter how hard we try to make it so. And holding on to it because we're not willing to look that truth in the eye will not change that truth. We deserve our own space and our own calm. If that means we'll need to bid farewell to something that we just don't need anymore, it could be time. And I have noticed that the most uncomfortable spot in getting rid of things is just before you finally let go. It gets easier after that. Number 2, I'm gonna use it for something I'm gonna do in the future. There's a plan that I have for it. Here is another doozy. We see this item in passing. Maybe it's big, maybe it isn't. It could be a bunch of little things, or it could just be one thing. But as soon as we think of the idea of decluttering it, suddenly, feistily, we think, oh no, I've got plans for this thing. The fierceness that comes up when we think of it can be the first signal that it could be a defense mechanism for this thing. It just keeps us stuck, keeps us from seeing what we have and making a kind decision for ourselves. Is it ingredients for a hobby or a project? Something broken that we want to fix? It's stuff that is presently ineffective that we have involved with a possible plan for the future. Basically stuff that we can't use now, but also can't quite bear accepting the idea that when we acquired it, we might have been wrong to do so. So we hold on. But the thing is, we weren't wrong. And maybe we just don't have the time or the interest to do that big plan with this thing or things. That's really okay. We can't do everything. And chances are, if we were going to do it, maybe we would have. But now it's just a thing that's hidden away, and from time to time it pops up into our view and makes us feel guilty about having not done something with it. So why not think about letting it go? Allow the stress to leave your home or your closet and give yourself some extra space for the things that you are interested in doing now. It's okay, and it could be a kindness to yourself, not a fault. Number 3, I'll probably need it sometime in the future, or at least I might. Now this one has some similarities to number 2, but it differs in that it's not necessarily a future project. It is the thing that it is. But what keeps us holding on is that question, what if we end up needing it and don't have it? It doesn't matter that we haven't used it in months or years or decades perhaps, or that we can't necessarily fathom a time when we would need it in our future, because it's not logic that keeps us holding on to it. It's pure, petrified, and unexplored fear. The point is, we don't want to take the chance to lose something. Full stop. But the thing is, it's so easy to think that it's just better to have something and not need it than to not have something and need it, that our house is filled to the brim. And maybe that was the case more so back in the day when we didn't have rooms of extra stuff, piles and boxes of things taking over our overwhelmed minds and homes. But now that our world is a bit more excessive than it once was, it can be very easy to take that logic to a level of extreme that is no longer serving us. Sometimes it can be better to not have something that you need from time to time. Because if it comes up and we're not in the habit of buying things as a twitch, we'll likely have the means to borrow or acquire something that we might end up needing in the future. Of course, we should keep the things that we can see that we might need in our future. But there comes a time when it might be a good decision to let things go. Number 4, it's worth so much money. It's worth more than that. It's very common to put a worth onto an item that we loved. It was worth what we paid for it, when we paid for it. If we hadn't paid what we did, and no one else did either, then it would have been worth nothing. And something that was thousands of dollars 5 years ago can easily and often be worth nothing today. It's just the way of our speedy, fickle world. We decide what things are worth by the interest that people put into it. But unless it's something like solid gold, there's no certainty, continuity, or sense to it. It comes and it goes. So if we're holding on to something because it was worth a lot, it could just be that that ship has sailed. Hopefully we got the worth that we could from it, and now it could be taking up our own personal bandwidth and closet space because we're not willing to accept the fact that it is no longer worth the money that we paid for it. It's okay to let things go, even when we spent hard-earned money to get it. And ultimately, it might just make us a bit more discerning when we do let ourselves release something for the next time that we want something frivolously or without thought. So that's the 4. There are more, so if you're interested in a part 2, just let me know. And other than that, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next week. Thanks so much for going on the journey with me. Bye.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way. We got everything here.